we're back at the drinking bench, or tasting bench, I should say. We're going to have a little Globe Skimmer Rosé, one of our favorites in the organic range that we do. So, where do I start? Rosé. If you've watched some of the other videos and you've heard me talk about drinking wines and what we make, when I first moved to the country in the 90s, there was barely any rosé made. There's about 3 producers that made these dark, Aussie-styled, robust, what I would call sweet, sort of cordial-styled rosés. And for me, where I used to work, we used to make white wines out of cool climate grape varieties in warm regions. And to me, it just didn't make sense. So I actually talked the gentleman that I used to work for into allowing me to make a rosé, and it became quite a hit. And to me, it makes sense because in McLarenville, we're in a Mediterranean region. We can get fruit ripeness and retain natural acidity, which is perfect to make rosé. So you can make Sanyade rosés. You know, this is the home of Grenache. You know, anyone can argue black and blue. You know, the boys in the Bros will try and own it. But McLarenville, as a man who worked in Spain and worked with Grenache, this is Grenache country. Like, this is perfect for making Grenache-based rosés in McLarenville. I also love Cabernet from down in Langhorne Creek that we use to make our Scarlet Ladybird. So we make 2 rosés out of Cabernet Sauvignon from Langhorne Creek that offers that sort of licorice and fresh herbal tones to the wine and that lovely macerated summer berry fruits out of the Grenache. And we've been producing that rosé. It first started its life, Scarlet Ladybird, as Zante's Footstep dry rosé because I was pushing against sugar, trying to make something that was food friendly and savory and juicy and moreish. And as the time's gone by since 2004 till now, that wine has lightened off in color. Not intentionally, it wasn't always dark. What we used to do is add a little table wine to it to color a lighter rosé. And as I went through the process, I stopped doing that. We were making lighter styled wines. And now there's this huge surge on the global level of Provence rosés. Well, I can talk about that for a little while if we really want to. Provence rosé is made mostly by using Rolle, R-O-L-L-E, which we actually make in our wine label by a different name, which it's used in Italy called Vermentino. Same grape variety, Rolle in Provence, Vermentino in Italy. What they do is they grow Vermentino and they put 5% Grenache into it. So that's Provence rosé. Or they can use the Grenache 100% and do a Sanyade where they bleed it off, like what we do with our Scarlet Ladybird. Anyhow, this whole move towards these light, dry-styled rosés, and talking with our distributors and customers all the time. I love rosé. It's a segment of wine. You know, we always refer to rosé as the red wine drinker's white wine. On that note, drink some. I know you're looking at it. You know, to me, it's that lovely dark color. It's almost got like a, I know I'm not supposed to refer to it because there's trademarks, but to me, it's almost got a Campari tinge to it. You know, that burnt orange, deep tone. When it's bright and young, it's real purple hued, almost deep garnet in color. And on the nose, it's got that, you know, marmalade, orange peel, a little bit, again, to me, it's that Campari, sweet tart, sort of strawberries, red cherries, and a bit of licorice again. But what I was talking about was color. And when we started doing the organics, it was that opportunity for me to actually make a dark-styled rosé again. And I do it so that we can communicate with our consumers. You cannot tell sweetness by the color of a rosé. This is actually the driest wine we make, including all our reds. This is bone dry. This sucks the moisture out of your mouth. It leaves you almost with this sandpaper effect where you just got to keep drinking it. And this wine just screams to have slow cooked pork belly. I mean, that's its home. This is a Portuguese style rosé where we leave some skin contact to it, this color, and it takes time to evolve, but it's this just chewy, long, ethereal finish to it. By no means is it bitter or coarse, but there's a little bit of that phenolics to it that helps pull through in your mouth, and immediately just you're salivating. It is a food wine. It's great. I love it. But what we did was with our rosés is we started to incorporate a scale on the back where it says fruity, and sweet, or dry and crisp. And that helps the consumer identify what kind of rosé it is. I mean, you cannot tell by color. You know, this is the color of a lot of those old school Aussie rosés I was talking to earlier, where they were quite sweet and high in sugar, and you know, it was cordial in glass. I don't want to do that. You know, our ethos is about making food-friendly, drinkable wines that make you salivate and have a second glass. And that's really what this has to offer. So this is made from 100% Tempranillo, which is a Spanish variety. Tempranillo literally translates to early ripener. And we also make a table wine out of this. And to me, it's that lovely, savory, almost fresh sage tone that comes through there. It's almost when you pull sage or a fresh herb and you get that greenness, but it's not a raw greenness. It's that lovely, ripe, sort of grassy cut herbal edge to it. Runs through this, and it's a fantastic wine. You know, on the nose, there's that roses and orange peel and marmalade, almost a little bit of burnt sugar characteristic. And you think that you're going to get this little tinge of sweetness. And then on the palate, to me, it's that Campari, Negroni, sort of real herbal, sour, citrus combination that just rolls in your mouth with all these red currants and berries. Perfect summer wine, perfect winter wine. Have it with cassoulet. That's all I'm going to say.
Tell me about the label as well.
Well, I guess what it came to was when we were making the organic range, I wanted to come up with images that had a story to talk about. And the Dragonfly is actually one of those ancient, they were around with dinosaurs. And the Globe Skimmer is actually the name of the largest dragonfly on the planet. And it actually flies from Australia to South Africa to mate and lay its eggs and then come back to Australia. So it's called the Globe Skimmer for that reason, is because it flies across the largest body of water in its lifetime to mate and then come back and lay its eggs. So a cool little story.
Yeah. Cool.
Again, with that spiritual base too, a dragonfly has to do with that spiritual rebirth and regeneration. And to me, that's what this is. This is the regeneration of the rosé class of wines in Australia. Yeah. It's showing that we can make world-class, food-friendly rosés. There's nothing wrong with sweet styles. There's nothing wrong with the lighter styles. But stick to them, find the ones you love, and support them. Enjoy.